Hello, and welcome back to the Wizard's Respite Sanctorum, the show that dives into all things TTRPG. We've been kind of building towards this sort of conversation today, this topic today. We're going to be diving into an online tool called Fabecraft. Really excited about what we got going on. We got the news, but before we jump into any of that, as always, I am not alone. I'm here with my co-host, Zach from Old Man Gaming. Zachariah, how are you doing?
I'm all right today. I'm kind of excited to talk about this. Fablecraft's been out for a while, so I think we're late to the party on this discussion. But it's kind of an exciting thing that neither one of us have really gotten to try before.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat about it too. There are pros, there are cons. It's going to be an interesting talk. I think there's a lot to dive into and a lot for the TTRPG community to think about on this sort of platform that they've built here. Before we jump too far into Fablecraft, a couple of quick news updates for the TTRPG community. One of a couple of the news things I want to jump into real quick, just a real quick run over. Magpie Games is really making some moves. They are producing a few more teases about Masks: The Next Generation. I think it's going to be. I'm really interested from a outside in kind of perspective of that game. I haven't really played Masks. I haven't jumped into it much, but it's trying to go back to the superhero genre, which I think there's been some fatigue from the movies at very least, and I think a little bit in the subgenre as a whole, just movies, TV shows, everybody kind of getting tired of it. So how is a TTRPG going to be with this? And they're kind of pushing it, which they kind of got to at this point. They put a lot of money into making this game. I'm hoping that it does well, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot you can do with a superhero game. I think there's a lot of fun stories your friends can play. And I kind of hope that it brings a little bit more of a spark of an interest back to comic books, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think comic books have suffered just in general because of the movies, because they seem to always want to have like number ones when the movie comes out, so they keep resetting things and whatnot, and I think it messes continuity up and stuff like that. As far as superhero stuff goes, yeah, it's real interesting. It's real interesting to see another superhero thing in. I think I've talked about this before. I think superheroes on paper looks like a great thing for a TTRPG, but in practice can be a very challenging experience. And I don't know that I've really played a superhero RPG that does it in a way that I feel like simulates the comic books.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Masks does with it.
Yeah, I think there's going to be something fun to. At very least, like I said, from the outside in, something really interesting to see from like the industry sort of point of view for TTRPGs and for the genre as a whole. Also want to, let's see, there was one thing that I found particularly interesting in the news. It was the Twilight Sword. It's a new game being published by Free League Publishing. Which is a pretty big game out there. So this, the Twilight Sword is a sort of more of a light-hearted game system. At least that's what it's being reported as. They're pushing this sort of. I think they had they referenced Studio Ghibli quite a bit when they were talking about the air and the style of the game. So you're going to be able to pick a bunch of characters and races that have a little bit more of a whimsical feel to it. There's still like an essence of like surrealism, but also darkness to it. So you can still have more of a serious campaign if you wanted to, but they're leaning more towards whimsy. I think that's kind of interesting. I think that would open up the TTRPG space to a group of people that are wanting something that's a little bit more fun and less dramatic or scary.
You know what I wish they do, and I hope that this is something that they do, is like one thing I've noticed is, you know, you don't get a lot of the whimsy stuff in this. Like it's usually heavy stuff, and I think there's really cool like whimsy stuff. Like you talk about like the what is it, the Wind in the Willows stuff, that could be interesting RPG stuff. Redwall, the Brian Jacques books would be is ripe for an RPG world, you know. And those are like the little critters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. I think that's a really cool idea for the whimsy. I would love a little bit more of a lighthearted, like Swords and Sorcery. But what I wish they do is like I read over this one book recently, Wanderhome, and
Okay.
I thought it was very interesting. But it's extremely narrative. It's an extremely narrative-driven story, and it's kind of the whimsy, the critters and stuff. I want a whimsy-based game that also has a good system. You know what I mean? Like a numbers crunch system. I feel like every time somebody goes for whimsy, we end up with these like very kind of like nebulous narrative systems. And I'm not saying those are bad. I'm just saying I don't think I've seen anybody do a light-hearted like Swords and Sorcery game, but that has some of the crunch of D&D, you know?
You know, that is a fantastic point, actually. Every game I've never thought about it before, but every game that I've seen really goes rules light when it goes whimsy.
Yeah.
It's like they go hand in hand, and you're right, that's not necessary.
I think it'd be interesting to go rules heavy on stuff like that. You could even do some like silliness with like some like charts and stuff and botcha, and it's still, you know what I mean? Like I think that's a really cool idea. It opens up this kind of realm of like, oh, what are my abilities? Because now I can get a little bit more sillier with them. They don't have to just be like blow their heads off or stab them with arrows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'm actually really glad. I'm really glad that you said that, because I hadn't really considered that angle before. I was originally going to say, you know, when I was younger, starting out RPGs, I knew a few younger like girls that, you know, kids my age. That wanted to play D&D, but it just wasn't for them. It was too dark, you know, it just wasn't their style. We're like all 14 years old or something.
Right.
And they just weren't vibing with it. And sometimes my mind goes back to childhood and I think about those girls that were like, oh, this is really cool, but like, why is his head exploding? You know, why is the fireball burning them all to death?
Right.
And now that you mention it, like, they wanted to play D&D, they just didn't. They wanted something a little bit more fun and lighthearted. Yeah.
And I think there's a spot for that, honestly. I think there's a real... And I think there's an especially big spot if it's not a narrative game. I feel like it falls into this trap of, well, if it's whimsical, we have to, you know, make it a narrative story-based thing. And, like I'm not going to lie, when I picked up Wanderhome to read it, I was kind of hoping it'd be a little bit more crunchy because it's a huge book. But it's not. It's heavy narrative stuff. And, like, that's fine. I'm not insulting Wanderhome. Think it's a great game. Just saying that to everybody out there. I'm just saying I really would like a whimsical game that has some crunch to it.
Fantastic. I really like that idea. That's definitely something I want to like tinker with and look for myself. As far as this particular game, they haven't given us enough information, unfortunately. They do reference Final Fantasy when they're discussing like the style, and they're kind of pitching that a little bit, as well as Zelda. So we're kind of getting a little bit of both there.
That's all over the place. I would not say Final Fantasy is whimsy, but I would definitely say Zelda has whimsy. So that's an interesting merge there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's maybe they're bringing some of it to the crunch, to the table here. Maybe not, because if I was going to do a Zelda game, I would probably pitch that more narrative. If I was going to do a Final Fantasy game, I'd definitely pitch that more crunch.
Yeah.
They put both of those games in the description, along with Studio Ghibli. So who the heck knows what this is going to be? I thought they pitched both of those, Final Fantasy and Zelda, because they wanted to talk about the range that this game actually is going to have in its ability to tell stories. Because you do have a lot of, in Final Fantasy, out there stuff that you could put in there. They have a huge amount of lore, and so there's that, and there's a certain degree of not really whimsy, but fantasy aspects to it. But Zelda brings in the who knows where it's going to go. But I'm excited. I'm going to keep my eyeball on this one. It's called the Twilight Sword. I recommend people just keep it on the back burner until it drops, and let's see. We might be doing a new a deep dive into that at some point.
Love to.
Those are the big ones I wanted to talk about. There's a bunch of other little news elements that popped up, but we got a heck of a show today, and I figure, what do you say we jump into Fablecraft?
I'm down.
The topic of the day. Now, did we discuss this one before? I know we've discussed like these sort of systems a little bit, but
we've mentioned briefly that there are games now that are kind of like tools for role playing online, basically.
Okay.
Fablecraft is not the only one. There is Demio, I think it's called. There's also which they just did like this D&D crossover thing, so there's like D&D aspects to it now. There is Tailspire, which I think is directly like D&D online. I have not messed with that at all. And then there's also a game called Sunderfolk, which is much more you pick your characters, and the game does the adventures for you, but it's more like supposed to give you that feeling because everybody plays on their phones of an RPG game night sort of thing, which I had sent you that one too. Fablecraft was the one I was trying to figure out, and I just could not remember the name of it, and finally found it and sent it to you. It is a game that Felicia Day loves. Any nerds out there will know who she is. And it is basically like an online RPG that you game master for your friends through it. It is a tool for that. I don't even know if I want to say tool, because it's kind of its own game, which is both an upside and a downside for me. Like, it has its own story, like it has its own like setting, you can't mess with that really, and it has its own system, you can't mess with that really. All right, so sorry, we had to take a quick break. That's why I stepped there. I'm sure everybody out there saw that, so I'll just go right back into it. So Fablecraft's its own game. It's very much its own game. You cannot mess with the world setting. You can't mess with what you're playing in it. It is very, very rigid in that way. As far as how you get Fablecraft, just to set the stage, it is free. You can go on Steam on your PC. I think it is also available on iPhone. It is coming soon for Android. And you download the software. You make an account with Steam, and you're in the software. The software also allows you to use your mic and your camera in game. Me and Wiz just tested that feature, and then it does the battles and everything. But the game master of this game is actually like throwing rolls at people, telling the story, coming up with the maps, putting the bad guys on the board, that sort of thing. That's what Fablecraft is.
And I'll say, Zach is definitely the video game guru on this show. I am not. I didn't even have Steam on my computer, never been on there before. And so this was all very new to me. And I wasn't hard for anybody. And chances are, if you're listening to this, you probably already have Steam on your computer. I'm the guy that's the outlier here. But if you by some chance didn't, don't be afraid to. It's not hard. It doesn't take up a huge amount of space on the computer or anything like that. It runs really easily, and it's kind of like idiot-proof a little bit. So I just want to throw that out there because this idiot got it done.
Honestly, I would say that is probably the biggest plus for Fablecraft, in my opinion, since we're getting into it, is the ease of access to it. I was kind of truly impressed. There's a quick 15-minute tutorial that just kind of shows you the very basics, but everything else For the most part, there's a couple of very irritating things, which I'm sure we'll get into, but for the most part, everything's very intuitive. You go in, you join, you play. That's it. It's relatively straightforward, and especially even for like a game master, with, like I said, some few exceptions, which we're going to talk about. It's pretty intuitive. Like, even if you don't know what you're supposed to do, there's only like 7 buttons, and once you press them all, you're like, oh, that's how I do that thing. So that I need to do. Like, it's very straightforward. And I will say this, one of the things I have considered right off the bat for this is, just so that everybody out there knows, Wizard, in his infinite charitable kindness, has been running a family game night for myself, my wife, who does not like role-playing games in any way, shape, or form, and my daughter, who is 9 and definitely has attention issues. And it's been a roller coaster ride, but one of the things about this that I immediately considered was playing this with her, because it would be so, like, it's so much more stimulating than a normal RPG. Like, this is I feel like this is almost streamlined for people who have never role played before, or played a TTRPG, to kind of like get into it without any issues. The character creation process is incredibly quick, incredibly streamlined. There's not a huge amount of overwhelming options, but there's plenty of things to do with your character. And it's very interesting in that regards, in my opinion.
Yeah. So this is gonna be so interesting. So I'm gonna make a little prediction about the rest of this show.
Okay.
I think you and I probably saw the exact same pros and cons. For those out there, again, we have really not discussed too much about this outside of this episode right now. We both have basically just talked about Fablecraft. It exists. Get it. Let's talk about it. Yeah. So we kind of went into it separately. We haven't really dove into it. I think
we tested you and I some multiplayer things. Like, I'd say it took us like 10 minutes to like get in the same call, become friends on Fablecraft, and then we just went into like a battle map and kind of messed with it for a second, just to see what it would look like. So
exactly. Now here's the interesting part, though. I feel like you and I are probably going to see the same pros and cons, but I think you and I may weigh them slightly differently.
This is interesting.
Because there's a lot of things.
Because there's a lot to talk about here and a lot to impact. Do we just do pros and cons, or should we like how do we proceed? Because there's a lot I want to talk about on this. And I'm pretty sure there's at least one con that you haven't thought of, that I've only thought of because I'm in the gaming space.
So here's where it's at for me. Okay. Like, I actually don't care for Fablecraft myself a ton.
Really?
For myself personally. That being said, that's not a criticism of the system. That is a personal taste thing for myself.
Okay, so you don't want to use this.
I wouldn't. This wouldn't be my go-to thing. And it's 100% just a taste thing. I will use it. I think I'd have fun using it. It wouldn't be my go-to thing because I don't feel like I'll just straight out say right now, as a GM, a guy who loves TTRPGs and all that stuff, I feel super restricted by it. And that irks me. Irks the heck out of me. Is that a problem? No. Is that what the game is designed for? No. It is not designed for that. I will love this game for what it is, but it isn't necessarily what I would want. You know, if that makes sense.
I completely agree with you, and yes, we are on the same page there. I like to make my own world. I like to make my own systems. I like to make my own things. You can't do that with this. Here is the world. Here is how the world works. Come up with stories in it. Like, that's what it is. It's very rigid. So, like, even homebrewing stuff, there's not a whole lot of ability to, like, well, I want to change this rule, or I want to make up a skill, or I want to make up a spell. You can't do any of that shit. What what I found the most irritating in the restrictive area, and I'm just going to do this now because I don't know if you know, this is the one that you noticed, is the fact that really your options on a lot of things are locked behind paywalls.
I did not notice that.
Okay,
Thank you for bringing that up.
So when you're game mastering, there are a couple of things you can customize. You can customize a battle map, which I did very much appreciate. You can customize an NPC. This was an irritating thing that I'll get into because I had to look up how to do that because I was like, there can't be like 20 NPCs and that's it. That's all you get. I figured out how to do it, but it's kind of a tricky way to do it, and that kind of irritated me. That being said, you can customize an NPC. What I don't like, though, is that you have 20 bad guys. You have like 30 pieces of equipment or items that you can hand out, and that's it. You don't get any more. To get those, you have to go buy their ventures or their supplements. So the game itself is free, but those supplements cost a lot of money. Anywhere between $10 to $30. And I don't really care that your supplement was written by Felicia Day. All respect to her. I don't want to spend that much every time I want to buy something. There's like bad guys, musics, and I'm not saying they don't give you plenty to start, but like, I can't customize items. I can't put an item in there that I want to put in there. I can't do a custom musical track that I just want to put in there. I can't do that.
Right.
The only thing that I can customize is my characters' pictures. If I'm playing, I can customize my NPC pictures, so I can add my own NPCs with a weird trick to it, which I feel like is part of this. Because it's like the only thing they made complicated is making a custom NPC, but then they charge you for a bunch of extra NPCs. I can't help but feel like, okay, why'd you make this the only complicated thing? You know, the one time you have to right click on something, that's how you get it to do it. You have to right click on an NPC that already exists, copy and customize that NPC. The new copy and customized one will pop up, and then you can go into that one and change it however you want. Name, background, picture, skills, everything. That's how you have to do all of your own NPCs. As a game master, that's infuriating. That is a process. The process should be, there should be a little one at the bottom that has a plus. You click it and you make one up from there. There shouldn't be like this weird subverted process for making an NPC, especially when there's a bunch of DLC packs that have NPCs locked behind those DLCs. So which makes me feel like you're slightly taking advantage of people who are not as good at role-playing games go, yeah, I want the Kraken, even though they could just make up the Kraken. They want your Kraken, so they go over here and they spend $10 on the Kraken token.
Yeah.
That infuriates me. And listen, I live in video games when I am not on here, and video games is a horrible, terrible place with this shit. And this looks a lot like what I would call, what is referred to in the video game world as a DLC farm. A DLC farm is a game that comes out, and they continually support it, but they support it with constant paid DLCs, which gets frustrating. It's nice that, on one hand, it's nice that your game keeps getting support, but it is not as nice that you basically have to pay $12 every 5 months to get the new content added to your game, instead of them moving on or something else. And then this usually turns into a subscription fee, which I also noticed that this has a subscription fee on it, a $3.99 month subscription fee for certain things. I appreciate the freeness, and you got to make your money somewhere. I'm not arguing that, but I feel like there's a couple of small things on this that are just very, like, I don't know, needly and kind of shitty. And this is also, I know I've talked for a really long time, but this is also, in their defense, an early access marked game. Early access means this game is not 1.0 version. It's not it's not necessarily with video games. And I know plenty of you know this already, but just in case somebody's listening from the TTRPG,
I don't know this.
Video games. In video games, there's this thing called game preview and early access, and it's when the developers are like, we need money to finish this game, and we also want input on how we should finish this game from the players abroad. So they put out a version of the game that is not the game, but they charge you for it. You pay to play that, but you realize that you're playing a buggy, kind of crappy version of what you want to be, because also your feedback is going to influence how they create the game. Grounded's a great successful story of this. Their second one is in early access now, and it's the same thing. They put out the game. They go, hey, give us $30, you get the game, and then we'll build the game based on how you play, how you talk to us, how you feedback, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
There are some really shitty, evil schemes when it comes to this. There's also some really great success stories when it comes to this, but at the end of the day, this game itself is technically in early access. It is not its full release, so who knows what they're going to add down the road that we will see. You know what I mean?
I do. Now, being like a TTRPG gamer, not a video gamer, and just for everybody out there, I stepped away from video games years ago because I got way too into Skyrim. So just, I had a problem.
You and the rest of the planet, man.
Yeah.
That game is 10 years old and they still sell it. They still sell new copies of it. Like
it is that. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with that. I've thought about going back to it from time to time, and I've had to. My wife has had conversations with me about that. So a lot of this stuff, though, because that was, like you said, 10 years ago, a lot of this stuff is new to me. So when you say this stuff, I am the guy that's not in the world. That doesn't know these things, that doesn't get these references, but find them endlessly fascinating. And when I look at this is what I see as an outsider looking in at it. The free aspect of what you can get today is
good, almost
like a try it out sort of thing. It is this is what you can do with it. Test the waters, stick your toe in. It's free. See if you like it. If you don't like it, get rid of it. If you do like it, start buying our stuff.
Yeah.
Because we got a lot of stuff that you can buy and augment your gameplay with.
That you can buy and augment. I don't think I've ever seen this many DLCs for an early access game.
That's the other thing.
That's like, the other thing. Yeah.
So there's two things that kind of make me curious, and I'm going to ask you this because you know more. There was a crap ton of stuff you can buy for this game.
Yes.
And I was just scrolling through it, and I didn't even know what I could do with half of this stuff. But so you have all this stuff that you can buy. Is this early access? Because you can buy a lot of stuff. How much can they really tweak later on down the line? And when they roll out the final version, when they have a plethora of content you can purchase, how is this still tweaking? How is this beta?
Do you want me to be honest with you? Because it's not a great thing if I'm honest with you.
I want honesty. I want to know the truth.
Have you ever heard of a game called Star Citizen?
Yes.
Okay.
And most of the people that I've heard about it from, most of my gamer friends that I've heard about it from, have a little bit of a what the F kind of thing.
Yeah. So Star Citizen is a game that came out probably around the same time Skyrim did. I think maybe 2 years after Skyrim, something like that. It's still in early access.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. You can buy a ship in it for nearly $1 million. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
There are people who are like, Star Citizen is never gonna ever not be in early access because it gives you an excuse to make mistakes. Okay. There are, like I said when I started this, with everything in gaming, because it's the wild fucking West, you have an idea. You have somebody comes up with an idea, and it is immediately like, wow, over here, it's just the best idea ever. And over here, it's just the worst evil scam shit you can find, you know? And it's like every idea in gaming has that. Early access, same thing. Like early access is like in a perfect world, it's great. Like if you look at the example of Grounded 1 from start to completion of development with that game, came out early access, buggy train wreck mess. It was $30 out the gate. They slowly built it up based on what we liked about it, and it's one of the best games you can play start to finish. And now they're doing the same thing with 2, so it's great. But then on the other hand, you can look at Star Citizen, and there's plenty of anybody out there who is watching this who loves Star Citizen. I'm not necessarily knocking the game. I have heard it's a very fun game. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the practice of it being in early access basically for eternity while selling in-game assets for hundreds of thousands of dollars is insane to me. Like, so like you have both of those sides of the coin. And with this, yeah, I don't know. Does it ever come out of early access? You've got, 9 DLC packs at this point for it?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the adventures. Like, yes. There's a bunch of other, like, little, like, packs that you saw, like, customizable dice. Customizable, like, that's already been built. You just upload, and now you get rainbow dice, or you get heart-shaped dice, or whatever the heck they're doing.
Yeah. So, like... I would use Fabecraft, and I'm going to tell you why I would use Fabecraft. I would use Fablecraft because it does a lot of the work for you. You could just tell the story. I also think that, with the exception of the fact of how do you split up a party, I feel like they really did a great job of making improvisation possible in a thing like this. Okay. And that's always the reason I don't use stuff like this, like Owlbear Rodeo and the Forge one and all of those ones. I don't use those. I mean, I don't like maps. We all know that. But I don't use those, especially because there's no room for like improvisation in the moment, right? Like if I have my certain pictures, I don't want to be using pictures for my RPG, and then all of a sudden we need a picture that we don't have, because then that looks like shit, especially when I'm doing an actual play. Right? We did our first actual play on Old Man Gaming Ever was Star Trek. It was before your time. We did 13 episodes of it, and it was really fun. I was the game master. I wasn't doing any of the behind the scenes stuff. Actually, Aether Dios was the one doing all the behind the scenes stuff for that one. And the one thing I didn't like about it was he used a lot of pictures and stuff, and I can't be beholden to pictures. like I don't want to stop it to find the perfect picture for the thing. I just want to tell you what's happening so that we can respond to the game and move through it. This does a really good job of like, here's all these pictures of just about any scenery. They also allow you to change like whether it's night or day, whether the scene is like wrecked or destroyed. They also have a bunch of like copyright free music on there that you can have going as like a soundscape. You can also have like background, like if you need a town square, you can have like the town square noise and stuff. I think that kind of stuff is really cool because in the moment when I'm game mastering, I can just be like, oh, well, now you're over here in an alley. I can find the alley picture. I could drop the alley picture. It's super easy to just drag and drop it. I can really quickly hit the music button, change the music, and we're done. It'll take me 30 seconds to set up that improvised scene on in the moment. You know what I mean?
And I will tell you, like, I will add to that saying for those of you guys that are out there, if you're more like Zach and you'd like that improvised scene, all of a sudden kind of stuff, one of the reasons why I think that this would be really for you, or this is a cool thing for you, is that you're not really going to have to lean on those pictures. It really isn't going to let you lean on those pictures.
No.
It's going to be like, okay, drop an alley in there, drop a ruin scene, and it's simply just for the mystique and air of the moment. It's not for your characters to zoom in on and think about. It's just, okay, you're in an alley. Just give them a little bit of spice, a little bit of color, but it's going to be the game master's role to really make the scene alive. You're going to be talking about the door, the trash can, the shadowy figure in the background. None of that's going to be in your picture. It's not designed for that. It's just to give you that something to stimulate your characters a bit.
Yeah, and I enjoy that. I think the only thing that I don't love is, and I'm not a guy who loves preparation anyway, but like, there is a lot of lack of preparation options. Like when I was trying to mess with like game master stuff here, first of all, I have to host a game to get into the game at all. Like I have to just host it and be in it, period.
Right.
Like, which is nuts to me. I can't do any preparation. There's no option on the main screen for me to go in and craft NPCs and craft my own battle maps there to add to it. It's all stuff that you have to do in the game on the fly. And that is super frustrating. If I have to create a side NPC, like how many times do your characters like walk off and like, I'm going to go talk to this guy, and you got to be like, all right, I got to figure out what that guy looks like. There's no easy way to do that here. There's no fast way to do that, because you can't just have an extra NPC token just ready to go. You have to have gone into the game previously, hosted the game on your own, and then gone through and made all the things you want. The other thing I don't like is if you have a planned battle. Like, I'm planning this battle. I know this battle is going to occur. You can't set up the battle map ahead of time. You have to wait until the fight is happening. Then you have to drag and drop the battle map, drag and drop each bad guy to where you want it and each hero to where you want it, and then commence the battle. If I'm doing a show, again, that is a lot of time of just me like setting shit up while you guys are, twiddling your thumbs. And that's not as fun. I really wish there was a little bit more preparation options here.
And on that point, even if you're not doing a show, if you're just a GM playing this, that's a game night killer, man. You don't want to like sit there and wait half an hour for the scene to get created while your players are just on their phones.
Yeah.
This is the era of like people being on their phones and crosstalk and metagaming. And, some of that is fine, a little bit of crosstalk while you got to get set up. But while the GM is taking freaking forever to set up the big boss fight, you just killed your momentum,
Especially if you have to make up your own PCs, like your own NPCs, and you didn't do it ahead of time. Like if I want an impromptu battle with a bunch of thugs, unless I can find a thug in their like pre-made, and you're not, because their pre-made stuff is very world specific to what they want. Like the idea that like one of their pre-made bad guys is a sea otter is insane to me. Like that's what you thought I needed right off the bat was fucking sea otters? Like I need base level stuff, man. I need thugs, I need goblins, I need simple shit, but you gave me a sea otter and like
there's one in there that was I swear to God, they took a picture of a golden retriever and turned it into a forest monster. And I'm like, I will never ever send a golden retriever as an enemy. That is never going to happen. I'm never going to do that to anybody.
And that leads me more to the things are locked behind the paywall, because the selection that they give you right off the bat is abysmal. And like the idea of you sitting there, like going into your own game, sitting there and making like copy, customize, upload picture for everything you want to do is a little bit infuriating. I will say, I'm positive that if I went in and I took that 40 minutes to set up everything the way I wanted it ahead of time, my game's going to go super smooth with that. But I got to go in and I got to set that shit up. And you
can't save it.
Right. You have to have started the campaign and then the campaign saves. You can't save it to like your account, which is even worse. Like there should be like just like a GM tool bag for you cuz like they have
Yeah.
that for your characters. Like if you're playing in somebody else's game, they have a list of characters that you could just, hey, I'm using Joe Fireball over here. He's going to be in that
Yeah.
game. You know, like they have them and they save them. They need that for a GM where the NPCs just get saved, so that I could be like, all right, I'm going into this campaign, and every customized character that I've ever done for NPCs just gets put into that campaign too. And they need to let you do equipment and stuff like that on your own as well because it's ridiculous that you can't.
And you're not a map guy. I'm the map guy on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't figure out any way to make a dungeon crawl, like a real dungeon crawl where you go into the first room of the dungeon and you move to the next room and you move to the next room and you move to the next room. There's good pros and cons for that. You're not big on that. I like doing that. There's pros and cons for both sides of that, but you cannot do that in Fablecraft, at least not in any way that I was able to find.
Not unless it's locked behind some paywall, because I didn't see one dungeon crawl anywhere.
Yeah, and I didn't see any modules that they were offering, any adventures that they were offering that specifically said, this is a dungeon crawl, which is one of the things I really love, even when I'm playing online. That's the reason why I do use Owlbear Rodeo, is I can set up a map, I can make rooms with they call the tool Fog of War. So the first room you're in is the only one you see. As you unlock a door, you can see the next room, and the previous room disappears. And so it's like you're going through a dungeon. You can't do that kind of stuff for Fablecraft.
They did add a Fog of War thing. You can paint Fog of War onto your map, which is nice. But I don't see anything in here about DLC anywhere. I'm sorry, about dungeon crawling anywhere.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, like it's... So we've been kind of talking a bit about the cons. I think we ran into that right away.
Yeah.
And that's probably my fault, honestly, which is kind of we
talked a little bit about the pros. Like I said, I could play this with my 9-year-old. And I think she's going to be a lot more into this than maybe even Hero Kids that we've been doing, because it's simple. Everything's right in front of her. She should just play it like a video game. Like, I feel like this would work a lot, work really well with her. And that extends to anybody who is playing an RPG for the first time. I think even if you're an experienced game master like us, I see a benefit in I want to get this person into RPGs. Let's play a small adventure in Fablecraft with them, to give them an idea of what it's like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that would be great for introduction to RPGs, a very gentle introduction.
Yeah.
To RPGs.
Yeah.
I think that this would be great for honestly, if you are on the fence about jumping into D&D and you're like, oh crap, I don't know if I have the time to learn all the rules, it's all these books, all this expense. Don't go to Fablecraft, you know? If you've never played, but you want to be a GM and you want to get your friends to play it, and that happens a lot. A lot of people are getting together, let's play D&D, but nobody knows how. Nobody knows how to be a GM. Nobody knows how to do any of that stuff. This is a great way to start that, because it's so easy. It's so spoon-fed. And even just starting the tutorials, they really teach you everything you need to know, and then they handle all the heavy lifting. And that's the real pros. I think that's whenever I do my personal reviews of RPGs, I always try to think about who this is made for, and I think that is who this game, Fablecraft, is made for. It is for the people who are stepping into it for the first time.
Yeah, people who want to just do something easy and quick, and they want to do it very gameized. I think that like even the way you select attacks in it is very gamified
Yeah.
as far as it goes. And I think that like I mean just the fact that they made everybody a wizard. Like everybody's a wizard, period. You're a wizard. We're not going to worry about it. Everybody's got spells, period, so that we can make your attacks whatever we want them to be in the moment. We don't have to worry about like, oh, he can't do magic, and then balancing that with somebody who's a melee character.
Right.
What I would like to see from Fablecraft, though, is like I said, I want a little bit more options for a GM, like bag of tricks that they just don't have, and I really like. I feel like they've gone about the DLC all the wrong way. Even if we're using the same model of like $20 for this, I think they should be doing different worlds in it. I think that's what they should be doing. I think we should get a post-apocalyptic Fablecraft and a sci-fi Fablecraft and stuff like that, and like make those worlds like I'm not gonna pay to play somebody writing the story for me. Like that's not fun for me. Like as a game master, I want to write the story. Like that's another thing that super irritates me about this. Not to get back into the cons, but like they very clearly want you to purchase the adventures, the pre-made adventures. How boring is that as a game master? That like you purchase a pre-made adventure. You're basically reading from a script the entire time, putting the bad guys out that the adventure tells you to put out, and then letting them, you know what I mean? Like, what's your contribution to this at that point? Like,
that's kind of the thing. It's almost like it really turns the game master into the just basically the audio box.
Yeah.
Like
the producer.
Exactly. You have all these NPCs that you get, and you act them out, but you don't really control the story. You don't really control the setting. It's all given to you in the adventures that are set out and laid out for you.
And there's no tools for really making your own. And that's the biggest problem for me right now. It's like that it is geared a lot more to the player than the game master, in my opinion. And I know that their language doesn't say that because they're like, oh, it's super easy if somebody goes off script or whatever, which it is. I would say it is, but like pre-making your own shit is really hard in this.
Right.
And convoluted and silly.
Ideal world, this is how I would love to have seen the final version of Fablecraft to come out. Like you said, a GM tool bag that you have where you can create your own stories. Mm-hmm. And then if you really like want to do your homebrew stuff, I would say set it up the way that D&D set up or Wizards of the Coast set it up in the early 2000s, the beginning of 5e. So you can have a open gaming license. You can, and if you need to make money, I get it, that's a business. Sell your game on their marketplace where they take a cut. Then you have a huge library of games that you can choose from. You can go and buy 1,000 games, picking them apart to create your own world very quickly. You want to do a Grimdark? Great. There's a Curse of Strahd system. You want your own game, though, so you just take a few things from Curse of Strahd, maybe a battle map, maybe a couple of NPCs. You throw them in together. You use the building tools that they have in the system to make your own. You have your own really cool Grimdark tale now. You want to publish it yourself. Great. Go to their marketplace. You publish it on there. Maybe somebody buys it. Maybe they don't. But there you go.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mind the mechanics. I think the mechanics are nice and streamlined. I think that's one of the biggest ups to this game, even though everybody's a wizard. I like that it's just, hey, you got 2 dice, you can give people rolls, here's the skills, here's the spells, go to town. I don't necessarily mind any of that. I think that we need to focus more on the worlds and world building for game masters. Again, though, I cannot help but think about how interesting this would be to run with Stella or somebody like that,
Yeah.
who's completely brand new to it. I can't help but think how interesting this would be to do a show out of, because they have the video and microphone options right built into the system. I can literally record one window instead of like 6 different windows, you know.
Right. Yeah.
All weird.
Yeah. That interface. The interface is so easy for everybody.
Yes.
It's easy for the GM. It's restrictive, so you can't do much, but it is super easy to use.
I wouldn't even say that it's restrictive. It's just there isn't enough there. You know what I mean? Because I like what you can do really smoothly and well. It's just there's not enough options. You know?
Yeah. And that's kind of a balancing. That's kind of the balancing act with so many of these online platforms that you are designed for, because I play D&D. I play D&D 5e online with a game. I never use D&D Beyond because it's a bloated AF like monster to deal with. And I have several players that do use D&D Beyond, and sometimes they get stuck because it's so bloated and they can't find their stuff. That's why I lean towards systems like the Goblin's Notebook or Owlbear Rodeo instead of D&D Beyond, because it cuts down the bloat. But it's a little bit clunky at times if you're not really comfortable really getting into the nitty gritty of building this stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Fablecraft, no bloat.
No bloat.
Not clunky at all.
Yep.
But doesn't really allow for a lot of creativity from the GM.
Yeah.
And a lot of flexibility in the moment, I would say, for players. Like you said, you couldn't just necessarily easily go off and just talk to a rando NPCs and go on your own adventure.
Yeah.
You kind of are stuck with the adventure that the GM has bought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not going anywhere for it.
Right. And like you can create your own stuff here. It's not as intuitive and time consuming, which is obviously made that way to make you just spend the money and buy the maps from somewhere else, you know? Yeah. And I'm not a huge dungeon crawl guy, but I would like some sort of like dungeon crawl stuff here, and there's just nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I'd say, any last notes for this?
Nah, like, again, it's one of those things where, like, I can really see the potential of this, and I could really get into this. It's just, you need to give me more, and more options, more ability. I also think in some ways they kind of, they miss the point a little bit, you know? And like there's a lot of things in this that feel very insensitive to what they're trying to accomplish at its very core. Like you want this to be a tool for people's creativity, and then you kind of limit that creativity or block that creativity with a paywall or something. And then you want this to be like, or even you want this to help creativity, but there's really only like 2 characters that you can play. Like when you really get down to it, like, yeah, you can have 3 different types of magic and you can be like 4 different archetypes, but like it feels very samey from what I've seen in practice. So like, I don't know, like I feel like this is like a narrative game online in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And if you go into it looking at that, you're going to have fun with it, but I think if somebody's looking for some fun crunch or anything like that, they're gonna miss it. And if you're a game master, you're gonna find this a little bit difficult to work with if you like to make your own storylines.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you on all that. It's good for some people. Again, it's probably not something that I would necessarily explore unless I was running this. Like I could definitely see running this for like family night. For kids. I could definitely see this for intro people. It would be great for that.
Melissa would love this, I think, way more than like the paper stuff, just because it's gonna have everything right there at her fingertips,
It's so much easier. It's so intuitive. It's so fast. You don't have to think too much about it, and so you don't have to think about the system as much. So you can think about your what you want to do more.
Yeah.
And that's good for a lot of players, especially if you're getting home at the end of the day and you want to play this game. It's a lot easier to jump into this than it is for a really crunchy system because you're tired, but so you don't have to do thinking about numbers. You have to do thinking about adventuring.
Yeah.
Which is good. Which is good. One thing we hadn't noted on that I would like to pop out there as a plus. So far, what I've seen, the quality is fantastic.
Yes.
The art, I really think is beautiful.
Yeah. The music's good. The extra music that you get is there. It's really good. I feel like we beat on it a little bit more than I wanted to. That's for sure. But there is a lot of good quality here, and it is a step in the right direction. Like if you're a tabletop role playing game, or this is a kind of thing that you've been dreaming about. You know what I mean? Like this is the kind of thing that you were like when you were a kid. You're like, I wish I could do this with it. You know, and this is a step in that direction. It's just it's not what you want it to be yet. You know what I mean? You're going to get, here's going to be the thing is going to be like, you're going to see it and be like, oh, this is what I want. And your peak is going to go up here and then you're going to go into it and you're going to be like, and you're going to level off. And I think that again, I'm not even putting off the idea of potentially doing a show out of this at some point or some sort of content with it. Because I do really find it interesting. And it's a step towards that kind of being able to make our thoughts reality on the page. And I love the art. The art's moving the whole time too. Yeah. So you have a lot of different options for it. I really enjoy those things.
Yeah, So that was there's some really good. This kind of the tricky thing is this is really good for some people. It wouldn't necessarily be my go-to. So that makes it hard. I give it a good review. Honestly, I do.
Yeah.
It's just it's tricky because it's not for me. And I know, you had said, we're kind of bashing on it a little bit more than I even wanted to. And there was a lot of things that were really getting under my skin that I didn't care for. But it really is things that I personally did. I'm not crapping on the game. It's just these are irritants for me personally. It's a taste thing, it's a need thing, it's what I want it to be versus saying that it's good at what it is. It's good at accomplishing what it set out to do.
Yeah.
Cannot say anything bad about that. It's if you hate horror movies and you go see a horror movie, don't crap on the horror movie. You hate horror movies, you know?
Right.
And so I don't want to crap on this for that reason, you know?
Same here.
It just isn't necessarily what I would go for myself, even though it's a fantastic thing.
I would use this in very specific circumstances.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
I get it.
Exactly. Well, I think that pretty much we nailed it on this one. What do you think, Zach?
I mean, I don't know about the word nailed it, but we're definitely done.
Yeah, I think we went through everything it has, and that's kind of the thing. We went through everything Fablecraft has. Unfortunately, it doesn't have more, which is what we want, but it does do what it sets out to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So before we close out with the show today, Zach, do you have any plugs that you want to throw out there?
Oh man, yeah, I got a plug. It's probably coming out either next month because this is the week after the Monday, so it'll be I think the Monday directly after when this comes out will be the season finale of Duel Bastards, season 1, which was extremely exciting for me to do.
Yes,
and honestly, I'm very proud of what I accomplished as a game master because I managed to make something happen that I didn't think was going to happen, and I wanted it to happen, but it happened. So yeah, and they both play really good. So far on the TTRPG side, that we're about to hit a little bit of a slump for the TTRPG stuff just because we were planning on recording Ordo, but it looks like one of our players is going to be very busy in the next 2 months, so that's going to be very hard to do. So we're trying to brainstorm to get something else up in the meantime. We're just not exactly sure what that will be. So stay tuned. And then, of course, as far as the video games go, Absalom, I got a couple videos on that. I'm working on a review right now. We got OMGM. We've got the video game podcast when we managed to bring ourselves to do it. So check out everything we have to offer on Old Man Gaming.
Very excited about the Dual Bastards. Absolutely fun game. That game makes sword fights feel like sword fights 100%. You feel like a duelist 100%. Like I'm always feeling like I'm fencing when I'm playing that game. Really, really fun. I'm going to shout out, as always, wizardsrespite.com. You can check out all of these episodes, everything we're talking about at thewizardsrespite.com. T-shirts.
They're good shirts.
And I think that's pretty much it. Well, for everybody out there, I definitely say it's free to check out Fablecraft. Please go check it out. See for yourself whether or not it's for you. 100% worth your time. Very easy to download Steam. Very easy to download Fablecraft. Doesn't take long at all to do. And until next time, everybody out there, keep rolling them dice.